Hello and welcome to the Two Man Advantage podcast. It is week 2 in the NFL season, and the Lions are 0-2. Here with me to talk about what went wrong with the Lions this week is our own Mike Payton from SideLionReport.com. Mike, how are you this fine Monday?
I could be better.
We all could be better. So, Mike, just just straight out of the box, the Lions are 0-2. What happened Sunday in Minnesota?
Well, everything broke down. The defense just could not control the run game, and I said, going into this game, it was gonna be all about who could control the trenches, and the Vikings did on both sides of the ball all day, and that's how you win and lose football games right there. It's all in the trenches. Lions couldn't stop the run game. Lions couldn't get their own run game going. Whenever Matthew Stafford is your highest rusher, that's a problem. You're going to lose that game.
Exactly. I couldn't said it better myself, especially when you brought up the run game. You have Amir Abdullah and Joik Bell and even little use Zach Zenner. Throw those guys more chances to make a play. I know, like, give Amir Abdullah the ball. He has explosiveness in his shoes. Let him use it. He might get stopped. Behind the line. A play here, a play there, but then he'll break one, just like Adrian Peterson. Eventually broke one, but I get the feeling that the offensive coordinator Joe Lombardi wasn't trusting Stafford enough to let him be creative in his own way.
Well, it's really interesting. It's kind of stubborn is the word that I use when describing Joe Lombardi. There's been situations in both weeks where you could see that a certain offensive set was clearly working. In this case, it was no huddle in week 2. The Lions were moving down the field with ease. Whenever Stafford can get the ball out faster, and his offensive line doesn't have to block for so long. They're 10 times better when they do that. But his idea was to abandon that for some reason and kind of go back to the original game plan, which hadn't been working and didn't work again. And his use of Joik Bell, it was a bit too much, especially on that 2-point conversion. I mean, that's your last chance to make something out of this game. You go with a guy who's ran for 3 yards on 4 carries. Joik Bell, I love the guy, but his time might be done.
He's good at those, 3rd and 1 situation, gets you that extra yards. Those short yardage situations, that's what he excels in, and on the goal line. But let's go back to the offensive line. Just how Matthew Stafford was getting pushed around and crushed all game long, especially from Brian Robinson. He took some wicked shots, especially in the chest and the rib area, where he had to actually go in and get MRI done on his rib. There's nothing broken, thank God. He didn't pull a Tony Romo where he doesn't have to worry about a broke collarbone, not yet. But especially this offensive line, where is Laken Tomlinson in all this? Is it a reflection of Laken's just not ready to be put in right there, or is this a Martin Mayhew mess up when it comes to drafting a first-round pick again?
No, Laken's a great pick. There were always some questions about his pass blocking. He's a heck of a run block, but when you take your offense and completely abandon the run, you're leaving the guys who are great pass blockers susceptible to getting beat, and that's what you saw out of Laken. And I'll tell you what, if you don't leave this game with a new respect for Matthew Stafford, then I really don't know.
Yeah.
What's wrong with you, because that guy, he took an absolute beating and got every time. I mean, I respect the heck out of that guy. I really do.
It's really like that whole Cleveland Brown game where he took a wicked hit and still came in and finished the game. Obviously, that's under different circumstances with the different coach and all that. But yeah. But he's not going to survive the entire season if the offensive line can't protect anything for him, and if they don't establish a running game. Those are two important parts, especially for Lions offense. Those you protect Matthew, you open up the run game, and that opens up Golden Tate, Calvin Johnson, Lance Moore, for him to spread the ball around, which he did in certain drives. The one the passing touchdown to Calvin Johnson, he hit about 9 different receivers on that drive, which that is the Matthew Stafford that we need to see and that we need to see more of this year. But let's switch over to the defensive side of the ball and just answer me this one simple question: where was Stephen Tulloch?
Oh, jeez. The loss of Levy cannot be understated. I mean, I know everybody wants to look at Sue and say that the Lions defense isn't playing very well because of him, but Levy just brings so much to the table, and he makes everybody around him better, including Tulloch. Uh, I just watching Tulloch getting turned around and getting beat on plays over the middle. Maybe his time's done too. This Lions team is not as young as it once was, and I guess the thought was that this was supposed to be everyone's prime, and this was supposed to be the time that everybody was supposed to get going. But the Lions definitely need Levy back. He can stop the run, and he not only can he cover your tight end, but he can even chase down a guy like Jordy Nelson like he did last year. I mean, he's such an important part to this whole defense. Probably the most irreplaceable part of this defense.
Absolutely. So obviously the Lions have a plenty to work on this week, especially coming home for their home opener Sunday night against the Broncos and Peyton Manning. I'm looking at the schedule, Mike, and I really don't see them winning a game until after Arizona. Am I crazy, or am I just like every other Lions fan right now when it's 0-2 and everyone's saying, well, let's see if we can get the first round pick, the first pick overall in next year's draft?
Well, yeah, I think the sky's falling for a lot of Lions fans, but I understand the situation a little bit. It is hard to win on the road, and these are two teams that are likely going to be making playoff pushes that the Lions just lost to. But they've got this schedule that was supposed to be daunting. It looks actually pretty favorable when you look at the next two opponents. Arizona is going to be a loss. You can know that right away. It always is. But Denver, offensively hasn't been the team that they've been in the past 2 years, and their defense is pretty stout. It's actually the second and the best in the league. So the Lions are going to have to really figure out what to do with their offense. And then Seattle, surprisingly 0-2 right in the manhole with Detroit. It's a different season. We tried to predict everything before the year started, but here we are with 5 teams that won 10 games last year that have not won a game yet.
Exactly. Now, I'm just curious, what was your pre-regular season prediction for the Lions, like record-wise?
Well, I after going to camp and seeing preseason and everything, I just loved what I saw from this team. I know I wasn't the only one either. I went 11-5.
Wow.
And it's not looking like that's gonna.
Well, they can always turn it around. They still have time to turn it around.
Well, the Lions are one of the only teams to go 0-2 and wind up making the playoffs. They did it back in 1995, and they wound up having the league's best offense that year and finished 10-6. So.
Well, obviously there is plenty of time. I know it's a little disheartening for me to hear all the Lions pundits and national pundits write off teams, especially the Lions, after an 0-2 start, like you said, because I know the stats are not favorable for teams that start off 0-2. I think only 11% of teams make the playoffs when they start 0-2 or some crazy stat like that. But it's just this team is not consistent right now, and they're not consistent on any aspects of the game, except, let's say, Prater is actually the most consistent Lion right now.
No, you're absolutely right. They have to find out who they are and what they're doing if they want to make this season, turn into a playoff year. It's really going to have to. Really have to change fast, and hopefully they can get Levy back this week, which I'm kind of thinking that they will, and I think that'll make some big differences. But they've got a tough defense to go up against on Sunday night. But luckily, they're at home, and this is a place where they went 7-1 last year, and they really have to get it together. And I'm hoping that they get kind of a Disney feeling when they think about Matthew Stafford and all the punishment he took, and they all get together and they say, let's help this guy out. Let's figure this out.
Yeah.
Who knows?
You're looking for a little Disney Ford Field magic to jumpstart this team.
Maybe something that'd be great.
So just tell me, like, because you're with these guys all the time at practice over there in Allen Park. Just after the week one loss, did you notice like the team really down on themselves, or is it more of like, okay, we had a little stumbling block, but like this week, I bet you the mood in the locker room is definitely going to change.
Well, actually, I mean, I don't. I'm not over there yet.
Oh, okay.
I'm still working to get my way over there, but I can tell you that just by judging the press conferences and just kind of what everybody else is saying, yeah, this team knows that they're not doing well, and they're definitely upset about it. But I think that there's still this unspoken motivation that surrounds them that they just don't seem to think that they're going to wind up having a bad season where they miss the playoffs. I still see a lot of motivation there, and like I said, I think this Matthew Stafford thing. Sometimes it just takes a guy getting the crap kicked out of him to change an entire team, and he showed a lot of motivation on Sunday, and he showed some true grit, and I think that's something that the Lions should be inspired by.
No, absolutely, and you could see it. He was wearing it on his face and his arm and his jersey. It was all bloody. I think it's the first time I've seen him like that, where he was really physically and mentally beat up. But yeah, like you said, I always thought he was a true leader to this team. He's the one that really got the guys going, especially on offense. But if they really had I guess you would say their defensive leader is SideLion with Levy being out. So hopefully they'll get him back for this week against the Denver Broncos and Peyton Manning. So just give me your little overview. We're 2 games in. We got the Broncos coming into town. Do we even have a chance at maybe pulling an upset and getting the W here? And then we're back on the road in Seattle the next week.
Yeah, no, I think that they have a much better chance pulling the upset here than they do next Monday in Seattle. Against the Seahawks and the whole 12th man.
Yeah.
Tough place to win. No, I think that the Lions can definitely beat the Broncos. But will they? That's the real question. They're gonna have to get everything together. They're gonna have to really figure out what they're doing and find out what works early in the first quarter and just roll with it. There's no sense in changing anything or going back to what doesn't work. You've got to be able to figure out how to beat this team, and once you do, don't look back. Just stick the dagger in and twist it, and that's been the Lions' problem thus far. I mean, even on Sunday, the Vikings did everything they possibly could to get the Lions back into the game with multiple fumbles, and the Lions just never converted those turnovers into points, and then that's what you got to do in this league, and so that's going to be a really tough game, and I hate to say it, but I think Denver's probably going to win, but I don't rule out that the Lions have a chance in this game.
Yeah, but it's seeing them, especially playing at home in front of that home crowd. I'm predicting they're going to come out blazing hot. Maybe score on their first drive. That would be nice to set the tone. But the key for them is to play a full 60 minutes. Play a full 60 minutes like you didn't do in San Diego, and play a full 60 minutes, which you definitely didn't do in Minnesota. That really would set the turn for maybe there'll be a changing of the guard after that. But Mike, I want to get your thoughts on 2 weeks have Monday Night Football's tonight, but let's say the first 2 weeks are in the books in the NFL season. League wide, what has impressed you the most? Like, which players have stood out to you, and like which teams have really impressed you throughout the first 2 weeks of the season?
Well, I'm really impressed by the Jaguars. Actually, last year I just kind of said on my Twitter that I bet the Jaguars shock a lot of people this year because what I saw from them was a team that is really united and just really, I mean, they all love each other. They really want to play for each other. They want to succeed for their coach, Gus Bradley, and they have really showed up. I mean, they got a big win there on yesterday, and they're 1-1 at the moment, but they're actually in first place in the division. And as far as player wise, Amari Cooper, I knew that he would show up, but wow, that kid that's your probable rookie of the year right there. But
Wow.
I think the central thesis of this entire season is whatever team you thought was good, you were wrong about it.
I was wrong again. Darn it. Yeah. So speaking of Amari Cooper, because I'm in a fantasy league just like about everyone else in the world. I was offered a trade because I have Todd Gurley, who has yet to play yet, on my bench, and a friend of mine offered me Amari Cooper and Doug Martin for Todd Gurley, which I'm kind of hesitant because I want to see what Gurley can do once he plays.
Trade.
I'm sorry.
You take that trade, Darrin.
I would take that trade. I should message him back, see if that's still on the table.
That's a steal for you.
Yeah, we'll see. All right. Well, Mike, thanks again for joining us on our little two-man advantage Lions recap. Lions go down in Minnesota 26-16. They're at home this Sunday night against the Denver Broncos and Peyton Manning. Should be a great home opener. Once again, you can follow Mike on Twitter and also check his stuff out at SideLionReport.com. Mike, thanks again for doing this, and we'll talk to you next week.
Yep. Thanks, Darrin.
Thank you.